There's hundreds of people walking around that will probably never activate those wounds in you. You're not attracted to those people. They just aren't that interesting to you, right? You'll be attracted to someone who will poke you right where it hurts, unlock all of that pain for you so that you can go back and now heal it. Your partner is not going to heal you. They're going to give you the opportunity to heal. And once you learn how to do this, you can honestly go to them and ask them for support.
We are Gold Ivy. Our mission is to empower you to own and unleash your truth. Stories of resiliency are gold, and ivy grows in hard places. Those hard places are what creates space for light to shine through. You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold. This is Ivy Unleashed, a Gold Ivy production. Welcome back to the show. Today, we are sitting down with Monica Tanner, wife, mom of four, and a relationship coach who has made it her mission to help couples stop managing their marriage and start actually enjoying it. Monica is the author of the provocative new book, Bad Marriage Advice, and she's here to help us dismantle the clichés that have been passed down for generations. If you've ever felt like your relationship was just a series of chores and schedules, or if you've been told to wait until the kids are grown to find each other again, this episode is for you. We're talking conflict as a tool for intimacy and the shift from settling for compromise to choosing collaboration. Let's dive into some real talk with Monica Tanner, but first, a word from our incredible sponsors. Are you tired of the endless battle with cravings? Do you dream of managing your appetite without the hassle, the side effects, or the hefty price tag? Then it's time to meet Dr. Stephanie. She's not just a doctor of pharmacy. She's a certified diabetes educator and a leading hormone expert. She listened to your struggles and formulated a gentle, natural solution, GLP Wonder. GLP Wonder is a revolutionary supplement designed for an easier path to appetite control and hunger management. How? It works by combining powerful natural ingredients like areocitrin and green tea extract to naturally support your body's own GLP-1 levels. This signals fullness to your brain, curbs those persistent cravings, and even helps fight insulin spikes, that stubborn, fat-storing hormone. The result? Reduced hunger, better appetite control, and a more natural way to stay on track with your diet and goals. It's effective, it's safe, and it's affordable. Just one capsule per day for powerful results. GLP Wonder is now easier than ever to find. Look for Dr. Stephanie's GLP Wonder at Walgreens, CVS, and Walmart. And we are thrilled to announce that you can now find it in Target stores nationwide. Stop waiting and start winning the fight against cravings today. Find your nearest store, or to learn more and shop the full Dr. Stephanie's collection, visit drstephanies.com. And for a limited time, use code GOLDIVY30 for 30% off all Dr. Stephanie products at drstephanies.com. Hey everyone, if you're like me, January through May means cold and flu season. But this year, I'm ready. Besides the all things elderberry gummies my kids ask for every morning, I want to talk about something that is a non-negotiable in my fridge, the everyday elderberry elixir from All Things Elderberry. They call it an elixir, not a syrup, and here's why. It's made with organic, farm-fresh Missouri elderberries, never dried. That gives it a light, uniquely juicy, and palatable consistency. It's not thick or overly sweet. And the difference it makes for me is huge. For me, a tablespoon anytime I feel that first little tickle in my throat or before a big event where I absolutely refuse to be sick. It either completely kicks symptoms to the curb or lessens them so fast. Even my oldest, Cora, is asking for it. I will never not have it. It's my daily defense. And who needs that defense more right now than our bride-to-be, Brooke? Ooh, yes. Wedding season is basically a marathon. Between the bridal showers, the bachelorette trip to Florida, and all the main events, I don't have time to be run down. The thought of getting sick before my bachelorette trip, no thank you. I'm taking my elderberry elixir with me every morning, whether I'm at home or on the road. It's my little insurance policy, so I can fully enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime season without worry. It's literally for the mom who holds everything together and the bride who is trying to hold her wedding together. That's right. Whether you're a busy parent, a traveler, or a bride prepping for the big day, you deserve this defense. Stop letting illness slow you down. Head over to allthingselderberry.com right now.
And for 15% off your very first order, use our special code GOLDIVY. That's GOLDIVY. Get the everyday elderberry elixir. It's the defense you deserve.
And now to this episode of the Ivy Unleashed podcast. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. We are so happy you're here today. We're happy to be here today. We are going to be talking about something we have not talked about in a while, and that is relationships with the people we love. We have an author in the house, which we are always so proud to have authors, people that pour into these books so we can better our lives. And today we have Monica Tanner back. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Can I just say this book gets people's attention?
The cover.
Everybody that saw me reading this book this week was like, why are you reading that? Because at the very top, if you're not watching on YouTube, it says bad marriage advice with a big broken heart on it. So it catches people's eyes for sure. But the bottom says debunking myths that will make you miserable and what to do instead. So thank you for writing this one. This book is so powerful. And so just to give the people that haven't read the book yet, an idea of this book is every chapter is something that we've all heard a million times, like happy wife, happy life. For an example, because Brooke just heard that all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like people say,
I do love that one. I'm going to be honest. I'm about to enter marriage. So we're going to go through that one today for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, your intimate relationship, your partner, doesn't have to be a marriage, right? Brooke's engaged. I'm married. A lot of people out there are looking for a partner. And I think this book is for everyone. It's really powerful. And so we're going to dive in today, maybe things you've heard before and maybe why it's kind of dangerous to just go with this advice you've heard from people that, sure, they've been married a long time, but like, why are they saying that? And what's the meaning behind it? But before we do that, Monica, how we're starting every episode of Ivy Unleashed this season is we're starting with instant impact. So something we're going to definitely, break down in the episode. But if people could just tune in for 5-10 minutes today, what would you like to leave with them?
What a great question. I would say listen to resentment. If you're feeling resentment in any relationship, it is a good chance that you're not standing up for yourself the way that you should, meaning you're not communicating something that's important to you. You are sacrificing or giving up something that you value. And so if you're feeling resentment, I would say get some skills around communicating what it is that's heavy on your heart, because honesty in a relationship is so much more important than living in resentment. So your relationship will mature to the point of the honesty that it can handle. So if you can learn how to skillfully bring up things that are bothering you, things that are important to you, you will grow so much more than just sweeping it under the rug or, stuffing it down or trying not to make it a big deal. Because if you're feeling resentment about it, it is a big deal.
Okay, hold on. Can you say that line again? That's going to be a quote. Your relationship will mature to the level of the honesty you can handle. Is that what you said? Ooh, that's powerful.
Can you give an example of maybe with your clients or yourself, how you've seen this manifest?
So much. I mean, really the basis of that book is how to communicate better. And so all of the bad advice, while well-meaning, and I know people who love you are giving you this advice and it looks like they have a great marriage, which I'm sure they do. So it's all well-intended and well-meaning. However, it made it into the book if it stifles good communication. It's good advice if it engenders better communication. So all of the debunking that I'm doing is I'm talking about this is something that stifles good communication, and how to do it better is creating more communication. So an example of this is, let's just start with something from the book, which is this idea of don't sweat the small stuff. I think people love this advice because it sounds so sweet. Like, oh, don't make a big deal out. If you love somebody, you can just, kind of not worry about it or not make a big deal about it. Like, the example I love to use is toilet paper, right? You get married to someone, and for women especially, we need toilet paper every time we go to the bathroom. For men, not so much, right? Half the time they go to the restroom, they don't need it. So how important is it to talk about not only replacing the roll of toilet paper when it runs out, and like I love the toilet paper to go over. Like
Yes.
it drives me crazy when the toilet
The
paper
only
goes
way.
under.
Yeah.
Right. When I married my husband, he never thought about this. It wasn't something that he even crossed his mind how he loaded the toilet paper on the thing, right? And so, early in the marriage, I was like, "Hey, when the toilet paper runs out, I would really appreciate it if you could, make sure that there's toilet paper and also load it where it goes over." Can you imagine if I didn't sweat that? And 20 years later, every time I went to the bathroom, I was super annoyed about the way my husband loaded the toilet paper. And I had never said anything about it because I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm just not going to sweat it. I'm going to sweep it under the rug. But now, 20 years later, I'm so annoyed every time I see the toilet paper. But I never said anything about it when it was a really small inconsequential thing, right? Same thing with the toilet lid, right? I was on a podcast recently and she's like, I am the worst about knocking things into the toilet. And she's like, when I got married, I had to ask my husband whenever we're not using the toilet to just put the lid all the way down. That way I don't knock things into the toilet. And I was like, can you imagine 20 years later and all the things you might have lost in the toilet by just not asking for that simple thing that means so much to you that probably isn't that big of a deal to him?
Yeah, that reminds me of one of the things you said too was like thinking that they should be able to read your mind. If they love me enough, they'll know what I want or need. And it's just not true. And I'm still learning that. Like my husband still says to me, like, I cannot read your mind. Like I know you think we've lived together for this amount of time or been together, but I cannot read your mind. And so it's just, even people that have been together for a long time, it's okay to acknowledge you're still working on things. And a lot of the myths you broke down, anybody can kind of jump into them and be like, wow, why did I even think that way?
Yeah. And, this is one of the things I work with my couples on all the time. And it's so important to be specific and help your partner win. Like nobody likes hints, right? I mean, that's just such a passive aggressive way to try and get what you want. When you're in a loving marriage, and what I'm talking about, honesty, it includes specificity. So it's like, think about the couple who's like always complaining about, my husband never helps around the house, or he never changes diapers or does anything with the kids or whatever, right? Those are very broad, sweeping complaints, right? Like, how do I actually even know if my husband is helping around the house more? Like, a better, more specific way to make that request is, hey, I would love your help. If you could do the dishes 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that would be so helpful. And what I mean by doing the dishes is clearing the table, washing the dishes, getting them in the dishwasher, cleaning off the counter, and sweeping the floors. That would be so helpful. And then here's the bonus. And so that was super specific, right? Like you would definitely know if all of those tasks were completed. You're teaching your partner exactly how to be of the most help to you. And then if you want to get really like bonus points, is you say, how can I help you do this for me? How can I help you come through for me? And maybe your partner will say, what if 3 nights a week you took the kids and like hung out in the living room, or gave them a bath and got them ready for bed, and that way I could just clean up the kitchen really well. And you can either accept or decline that. Yes, I can absolutely do that. You clean the kitchen, I'll do the kids 3 times a week. Amazing, right? So this is like so important to be specific. That's like a pretty simple example. But if you're like, hey, I would love it if when I come home from work and I'm really stressed and I want to tell you a story, instead of solving my problem or like getting in there and troubleshooting with me, I would love it if you would just listen and be encouraging. And what that sounds like is, that sounds really hard. I can't believe you're having to deal with that. My goodness, that would be hard for anyone. That's what I would love to hear from you when I share a story about the coworker who's like, crazy at work, right? Like, help your partner win. Be super specific about what you want. Don't just ask for what you want, but be really specific. That's like an amazing way that couples can like absolutely learn how to treat each other in the best way possible. Not because that's what works in every relationship. That's like not in a marriage manual. It's like, how do you want to be treated? You are the expert on you, and you can teach your partner exactly how to do things that are best for you.
Mm-hmm. What do you recommend when that request is not met, maybe how you want it to be met?
Yes. So disappointment is also a big part of long-term relationships. So making a request is hard because it's vulnerable. Your partner completely still has a choice, right? So you want to make a request, and you also want to be open to the yes or the no. Like, let's say I make that request of my spouse, like, can you do the dishes 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday? And your spouse is like, you know what? I actually can't or won't do that. Like, I get home from work, I'm too tired. I don't want to participate in doing the dishes. That is so freeing because you can go, okay, I don't want to do the dishes, and my husband doesn't want to do the dishes. So instead of just having this expectation of him that he's already been super honest about the fact that he cannot or will not fulfill, let's get creative on how else we can solve the problem. Maybe our kids are getting old enough to help with the dishes, or maybe I did this with a client recently. Maybe there's a teenager down the street who I can pay a couple of dollars an evening to come in at 7:30 every night, do the dishes, and problem solved, right? Like, you can get creative when you release your partner from the expectation that isn't ever going to be met. So instead of being really resentful, it's like, okay, now I can see that there is this thing that is, the same. It's the same. Like, if your partner's not going to like listen to you the way that you want them to listen to you, find a girlfriend or call your mom or something like that. It's like, listen, this is my request, and my partner can either fulfill it or not fulfill it. Mm-hmm. But once that we've got the honesty out there on the table, I can find other ways of solving the problem. And eventually people ask me like, well, what if they never fulfill your request? Well, then I teach a skill called relational reckoning. And so we can decide if the relationship is worth, putting effort in or staying in. Mm-hmm. So that's different. But part of the honesty of a long-term committed relationship is being able to make requests and then give your partner the opportunity to choose whether or not to fulfill that for you, and do it without a lot of drama. Yeah. Like, if you're not going to do this, I'll find another solution.
Yeah, I think too, just thinking about a book like this, picking up a book like this and reading it is kind of saying to yourself in your relationship, I have a high standard of the type of relationship I want to have. Mm-hmm. And I think from me coming from divorced parents, and Brooke as well, a lot of people, they use their parents' marriage or their grandparents' marriage to kind of model. And when you don't have that, it's interesting to think about where your standards come from. Mm-hmm. And I would just encourage everybody to raise the standard of how you deserve to be treated and how you want to treat the other person. Because sometimes it just feels kind of lost. Like, what am I comparing this to? Or where am I getting my advice from? Or like, am I just any vacation I go on, I see old couple married, I'm like, give me some advice. Like, why am I doing that? But what I love what you did, Monica, is you are taking like standard quo things people say all the time, mm-hmm. and just taking a second to really pull it apart. And I love the way that you wrote this book, because I was telling Brooke, one of my favorite things was how you did like the Beatles, all you need is love is one of the myths. And it's like, yeah, from a band that's divorced. Like, thank you. We're not taking your advice. But I think sometimes it's so easy to just take someone's word for it. And the way you wrote the book, not only, giving tangible tips and why you're debunking it, but then you're giving either really vulnerable stories from your own marriage, or, you counsel other couples, and to see yourself in these relationships. I think that's so powerful when you're reading a book. It's not just like, that's wrong, this is how you do it. It's like, no, this is how it actually shows up in the real world. And so I just appreciate how you did that. And I want you to elaborate on the 2 questions you ask yourself or say to yourself before you address conflict. I thought these were so powerful. I think I highlighted them too. But are
you talking about remembering love?
Yes. Yes. So before you go into conflict mode, you're remembering who you're talking to. You love them and you're doing life with them. So just like that pause even. And then the second part of knowing you want to come out of this conflict or this discussion in a better place with your person. I think sometimes we want to just like rip them apart or say the thing or be like, didn't you realize you did this or whatever? And so I think if you can come a little bit more intentional and pausing, having those two things, like if anything, like that is so powerful. I love that you included that in the book. So
well, thank you.
I'm curious how that showed up for you or couples that you counsel, right? To kind of think about either the standards that you have for your relationship and changing them, or just the way that you address conflict, how that's showed up kind of shifting those things in relationships.
Yeah. So like before we go into this, I just want to just kind of reframe the way we think about conflict, because I think conflict is a really, really crucial part of a good relationship, because you're in a relationship with somebody, obviously, that's different from you. They're separate and apart from you, and they have different ideas, opinions, perspectives. And that's a good thing, because the more, difference, I always say, if you don't value each other's differences, you could get stuck looking at the butt of an elephant for your entire life, right? So you have this person who's like the reality is, as humans, we can only see things from our perspective and our experience. That's all we have. That's like our vision. And so we might be looking at the butt of an elephant and think that is what an elephant looks like. But it's not until we have somebody else who's seeing things from a different perspective that we go, oh, this is actually a massive animal, and it has like a front and two sides and a back. And so now together we can see more of what is really happening, right? So that I love how you brought up that remembering love. This is a concept that's really deep into RLT, which is relational life therapy, was what I use to work with couples. And remembering love is about reorienting yourself on your partner's team so that you're both looking at the elephant. You might be looking at it from different perspectives, different angles, and that gives you like a better way of seeing it. But a lot of times when we go into conflict, we are in protection mode. Like we get triggered, and it's like from our young adult, or like the younger version of ourselves that wants to protect ourselves, be right at all costs, right? Like we want to make the other person see it our way. And so that moment of taking a breath and remembering love, like this person that I'm talking to, it's my person. It's who I live with. It's who I do life with. You're right, right? And the reason we're having this conversation is because we want to make things better for both of us. We're on the same team. It's very possible that we have different roles on the team. Like maybe I'm offense and he's defense, and he sees the field from a different perspective. He can see more because he's, backed up. And so I want to hear his perspective. I want his input on this. Even if we see it completely differently, we can still orient ourselves against whatever it is we're up against. The conflict, I always say us against the world, right? Us against our kids, us against our in-laws, us against whatever problem we're facing. And so if we can take a moment and instead of going to battle with each other, we take a deep breath, remember love. We call this second consciousness, right? And we orient ourselves together against whatever it is we're looking at.
I love that.
I love that. I keep thinking about just the vulnerability that this takes, and something I've worked on in the last 6, going on 7 years with my partner is not being afraid to speak up and ask for what you want. And there's that initial, oh my gosh, like, how's this going to go? Are they going to leave? Are they going to fight? Like you don't know. And I think it takes getting comfortable, and the more you do it, the more reps you put in. But it comes back to self-worth is what I'm thinking of. The belief that you deserve to have what you believe you deserve. And so before you're even coming to your partner, what advice do you give individuals of, you're worthy to speak this truth and to ask for what you want and these boundaries?
Yeah, I love that, because you're right. When we deal in relational life therapy, we're working on a grid, and the up and down axis of the grid is your self-worth. And sometimes we go up and we get real grandiose and we're like, I'm right, my way or the highway, I get my way and you have to deal with it, right? And sometimes we go down into, yeah, maybe it's not worth it. I don't deserve to be treated the way, or whatever. I'm not going to get what I want. I never get what I want, this, right? And so, right, before we go into a confrontation or whatever with our partner, we want to get right. I am no better or no less than you. We are the same when it comes to worth. And so my opinion and perspective and position on this matter is just as important as yours. No better, no worse, right? That's how we work together. That's how we honor and respect each other. So the reality is like my husband and I, there's very few things that we see eye to eye on. Like, I love it when people are like, oh, we want to see it the same way, or we want to, be on the same page. It's very rare that my husband and I see things the exact same way. It's almost never. We came from two completely different backgrounds, right? They say opposites attract. I have a lot to add to our relationship. And for a long time early, I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, he knows better. His family is intact, like his family is super functional, mine isn't, And so I would put my opinion or my perspective below his because I was like, he knows better. But I came to learn as I moved up in that, kind of self-esteem axis is that, well, even if my family didn't do this correctly or whatever, my opinion, my perspective still has a lot of value. And we do better as a team and as a partnership when I add my perspective to his. We get a lot better results because, like I said, you're seeing more of the animal. It's like you're not stuck with one person making all the decisions and then, eventually resenting like all of it, right? And the other person resenting that they don't have a say. So, bringing yourself up, taking a moment to go, you know what, I may not know exactly how I feel about this, or I may not have experienced this, back to what you said, Andrea, about, like maybe my family is divorced and, I didn't see exactly what that looked like. I still have an opinion or an idea about what would feel right or feel good to me. And being able to skillfully, and that's the trick, skillfully express like, look, I love you. I love us. I want us to, come up with a really good solution to this problem. So here's what I'm seeing. Here's my perspective. I want to know more about yours. I feel strongly about these things. Like, this is what people miss. Like, they often forget to like take a moment. Like, what do I value in this? Like, what do I feel strongly about? Why do I feel strongly about it? What do I want to fight for in this instance? And then get real curious about your partner. What do they feel really strongly about? What do they value? And then go back and go, what are my reservations about their position? And what might their reservations be about my position? That's all that communication that I'm talking about. And that's how you come up with solutions together that are better than either one of you could have come up with on your own. That's collaboration. Different than compromise. So Andrea, you said, like, I always want to ask the old couple walking, like the happy old couple, like what's their secret? I get this all the time is compromise, learn how to compromise. And I think that was well-intentioned advice long ago when we didn't have as many options and resources as we have now. But now there's so many ways to solve a problem that the best way is to get really granular and curious about yourself, about each other, about what are the options here. Whether the decision is big or small, like what we're going to eat for dinner. I give this example all the time because my husband values inexpensive food. He doesn't like to spend a lot of money on food, whereas I am like, it's an experience. Like, if we go out to dinner, we should have something that we both enjoy. Like, I don't want to go get cheap food all the time. I love sushi. My husband does not like seafood. So we know this about each other. Guess what? They just built a restaurant down the street from us. It's sushi and ramen. It's perfect. Like, who would have thought of putting those two together? I have no idea. But it's a great little restaurant. It has a perfect ambiance. The sushi is well-priced sushi and the ramen is cheap. He gets exactly what he wants. I get exactly what I want and value, and neither of us has to give up anything. It's perfect. They have like Asian Mexican fusion restaurants now, like anything you can think of, right? So that's like a small decision, like where are we going to eat? There's no reason why you have to compromise about that. Find something you both really enjoy. And then you have decisions as big as like, how are we going to educate the kids? Well, back, a couple of years ago, a couple of decades ago, there weren't that many options. Now you've got online school, remote school, you've got public school and private school and like half-day school, and you've got world school. There's so many options for how to educate your children. Get really specific about what both of you value, put it all out there, and then make a good solution or collaboration with what you both really value. And then remember, nothing's permanent, right? Like it used to be, if you moved your family across the country, like that was it. You're living there. Now it's like, oh my gosh, we can, you can commute, you can work remote, you can change jobs. Like nobody stays in the same job for their entire lifespan anymore. So don't feel like you have to compromise on the things you value. Like really communicate well, find solutions that work and honor the best of what both of you guys feel strongly about. And then if it doesn't work, tweak it.
That's such great permission for everyone listening.
Well, what you're talking about, I think, means really taking time, because I think if you are hustling and bustling through your relationship, through your day-to-day, which is so easy to do when you've got kids and jobs and all the things, it's like taking a second to express yourself, taking a second to know what you want. And I think in a relationship, you're going to evolve and change and grow. And something you said in the book too is like, of course you change and grow. Like you really want your person to stay the same for decades? No, you don't. You want them to evolve and grow. But I think there's a challenge in that, right? Like I used to party when I met my husband and he had a beer box on his head, right? We were taking shots like we were animals in college. And now I don't drink anymore. Like there's just things like that is just one example. But like people change. And I'm curious your advice for maintaining your own identity, but then staying connected as you evolve and as you change. Before we get back to today's conversation, I want to talk about something that hits most of us as we enter the premenopausal and menopausal years, that sudden, frustrating shift in how our bodies feel. We often talk about hot flashes, but we don't talk enough about the menopause middle, the stubborn bloating, the brain fog, and the fact that our digestion just seems to stall.
This isn't just in your head, it's in your microbiome. Trust me, I have worked for years to continually care for my gut health. As we age, our estrogen and progesterone levels drop, and we actually lose the diversity of the good bacteria in our gut. This dysbiosis leads to an increase in inflammatory bacteria, which is why we suddenly struggle with constipation, mood swings, and even sleep disturbances. That's why I want to introduce you to Relievance.
Relievance isn't just another fiber supplement. It was developed by Dr. Robert A. Gans, a nationally recognized board-certified gastroenterologist with over 30 years of clinical experience. Dr. Gans saw the limitations of standard fiber products and created this proprietary 8-fiber formula.
What makes Relievance different is the science of balance. It combines 8 different fibers, each selected for their specific viscosity and solubility. This allows the formula to dissolve gently and support your natural gut rhythm without the harsh gas or bloating often caused by single fiber supplements.
By increasing your fiber intake with a blended formula like Relievance, you're doing more than just staying regular. You're feeding the beneficial bacteria that help regulate your hormones, clear that menopause brain fog, and stabilize your energy levels. It's a tool to help fight the physiological effects of aging and reclaim your daily comfort.
It is third-party tested, gluten-free, and contains 0 artificial additives or fillers. It's just pure, clinically balanced support for a sensitive stomach. Sign me up.
If you're ready to target bloating at the source and support your microbiome through this transition, it's time to try the formula Dr. Gans developed for his own patients.
For your convenience, you can find Relievance Fiber right on Amazon or visit relievancefiber.com. Feel like yourself again with Relievance.
If you've listened to the podcast for a while, you know I used to be the biggest skeptic about supplements. I thought, I can definitely get everything I need from food. But then I started to realize that high quality, clean supplements weren't about replacing a healthy diet. They were about optimizing my health in a way I never thought possible. For instance, I discovered what so many women eventually do. I was deficient in magnesium. Now that it's part of my routine, I'm sleeping better and I feel absolutely amazing. It made me realize that quality matters more than anything.
When it comes to taking supplements, ingredient integrity is a must for us both, and that's why we trust Smidge. Smidge offers a small line of foundational supplements, core nutrients, including 100% whole food vitamins, and digestive support for people who prioritize real food, but know even the best diets have gaps. They obsess over ingredient integrity, crafting minimal, clean products with 0 additives and rich nutrients meticulously sourced from around the world. We both love Smidge's magnesium, but with my chronic gut health issues, Smidge's digestive support is my tried and true. I use their digestive enzymes every single day before meals, and it has been a game changer in post-meal bloat, fatigue, and overall digestion for me. If you have any digestive issues, their enzymes, including the original and HCl plus enzymes, are a must try.
Smidge just dropped some incredible whole food supplements that we've been loving. First up, their Kakadu Plum. Most vitamin C supplements are just mass-produced synthetic chemicals, but this is the real deal from Australia. It's pure, whole food vitamin C that your body actually knows how to use for glowing skin and a rock-solid immune system.
I'm also obsessed with their Australian emu oil. You won't find this at a typical health store. It's the best source of vitamin K2, MK4, which is a total game changer for women's bone and heart health. While plant-based K2 is hard for your body to process, Smidge's emu oil is already pre-converted, so your body absorbs it instantly.
So, if you want a brand that is truly backed by research, derived from sustainable principles, and only wants to provide you with the freshest, highest quality nutrients, it's Smidge.
Head over to getsmidge.com to check out their magnesium, emu oil, Kakadu Plum, and their fantastic digestive enzymes. And don't forget to use our code GOLDIVY10 at checkout for 10% off.
And now back to the show.
Yeah. And you said it, stay curious, stay open, always be asking your partner, right? So like I'll just quickly say my 3% rule. If you're spending 20 minutes a day communicating with each other, right? Asking each other questions. What'd you learn today? What was exciting for you today? What made you nervous today? What are you looking forward to, right? If you spend 20 minutes connecting, that's not a lot. There's 1,440 minutes in a day. So if you can spend 20 of it connecting with your partner, you're golden, right? And then 3 hours of the 168 hours you have in a week, date night, do something fun, go to dinner, talk about the books you're reading, the things you're excited about, dream a little bit, right? Like get to know each other again, because like you said, you're changing, your interests are changing, you're growing, you're evolving. Like make sure you keep your finger on each other, especially your inner worlds. And then 1 week out of the 52 weeks in a year, go do something sexy. Go on a vacation, just the two of you. Give each other your undivided attention and completely dream, right? Create your life together intentionally. That's how you stay connected over the long term. And that's how you can be constantly learning about the things that are important to you over time, because like you said, they will always be changing and evolving. And make sure you stay interested in your partner as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love those. And as a number girly, it's so great to like, I'm thinking, okay, yep, we're doing 20 minutes over dinner. That's great. Okay. I've got in my Asana app, my to-do list, I've got this reoccurring every year. Okay. Think about where are you getting this week in? For everyone listening, like actually schedule that time in or it doesn't happen.
You're on it. Brooke's on it. I think last time we had you on, she was on it and I was not. And I'm working on it. It's just, again, I just want to acknowledge it's challenging. It does take
Effort.
a lot of effort. That's why people don't do it. It's like anything else. It's like, this is the most important relationship you have, though. If this is your marriage, your partner, like, you want this to go well. It affects every part of your day. It affects your mood. It affects how you feel about yourself. It is worth the effort. It is worth reading this book, debunking the things you hear all the time. And I just think you give so many tools, Monica, in a way that feels like I could do this. And, hearing people's stories of how they reframed something that they had from their childhood into more of a strength or self-awareness. So I'm just so grateful the way that you wrote this book and that it's helping everybody else raise the standard of their relationships, which impacts everything. So please tell everybody where they can get your book and how they can find you and follow you.
Yeah. So the book is on Amazon. Just look up Bad Marriage Advice, but you can learn about my podcast or how to work with me or any of the free resources that I offer at my website which is just my name, monicatanner.com.
And you revamped that website. It looks good. Such cute pictures of you and your husband and like even just tips on your website. It's beautiful. So
we just scratched the surface today.
Yes,
we're really so excited for everyone listening. And Monica, being a returning guest, we leave our listeners with 3 gold stars, top 3 takeaways, whether you're engaged, been married for years. What advice would you leave us with today?
Yeah, I would just say, listen, if you're like, oh man, we have so much work to do, just remember nothing has gone wrong. Like you learn how to communicate, right? Like again, that resentment piece is like the canary in the coal mine. It will let you know that you're stuffing something down, that you're not communicating something important to you. And so like just go to your partner or your coworker or your kids or whoever it is and just say, hey, I want to be real honest about something. This is weighing on me, or, I've thought about this and, I'd like to make sure that you understand I feel really strongly about this thing. Like, don't be afraid to let your partner know how you feel about something. I'm guessing that if you come from a place of, I want you to know this about me, this is important to me, they're going to be open to it.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. All right, next segment, Unleashing Ivy, things we're curious about. I keep thinking about a part of your book where you talked about having kind of unfinished business with your childhood, and that's how you attract the partner you attract. And I'm like, ooh, what does Monica got to say about this? So how does that happen? Can you just elaborate a little bit more on like how we attract the person that maybe has to do with some type of childhood trauma we have?
Yeah, so I love this concept. Again, I learned it from my mentor, Terry Real, who created relational life therapy, and he calls this the mysticism of marriage. And it's so interesting if you think about it, because we grew up in relationships. We were wounded in relationships. Like all of us, no matter how perfect our parents and our caregivers were, we all grew up wanting something, not getting something, right? And so we grow up and we go around the world and we will feel a sense of familiarity in another person, right? And we call that we all marry our unfinished business. So there's tons of people, and this goes to like one of the myths in the book that like, if you marry the right person, they'll never hurt you. Of course they will. You were attracted to somebody who was just enough like your family of origin that it's familiar to you. It's a familiar dynamic that you'll be attracted to. But they'll have different resources. You'll probably be attracted to somebody who has different resources than the one that you originally came from. And that is the perfect opportunity for you to heal. So this is like perfectly my husband. He was enough like my mom and dad and the dynamic I lived with to be able to poke me right where it hurts. But he had different resources. And so he could poke me right where it hurts, but he didn't do exactly what my parents did. He's different. And so it gave me, once I realized, it gave me the opportunity to heal because he would trigger me in a way that activated those old wounds for me. And then when I realized that I could actually now take care of myself around those things, then I could heal from them. And so, yeah, there's hundreds of people walking around that will probably never activate those wounds in you. You're not attracted to those people. They just aren't that interesting to you, right? You'll be attracted to someone who will poke you right where it hurts, unlock all of that pain for you so that you can go back and now heal it. Your partner is not going to heal you. They're going to give you the opportunity to heal. And once you learn how to do this, you can honestly go to them and ask them for support. So in my marriage, the way this happened was my husband would always go to sleep, like the don't ever go to bed angry.
Yeah.
Like we would get into it late at night and he would roll over and start snoring. And I was like, not only did I get this advice, but you're also triggering all my abandonment wounds. Like you roll over and go to sleep and I'm like, he doesn't care about me, doesn't love me, he's gonna leave me. Oh. Like I would fall apart. And it wasn't until I finally could explain to him what happens inside of me when he does that. And he was like, oh, I was like, I'm so afraid that you're just gonna leave me because I'm crazy and like, you don't even love me. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, of course, it's because I love you that I realize I need some sleep in order to like work on this. So like, and I was like, okay, can you just say that? Can you just say, I love you. I'm not going anywhere, but we're not getting anywhere with this conversation right now. I'm going to go to sleep. Let's both get some sleep and we'll talk about it in the morning. And I was like, what a revelation. That's that resource that he had that my parents didn't have, right? That my original wounding, like I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, let's try that. And after years of now trusting that he's not going anywhere, he's getting some sleep, my nervous system, like when he said that, I'm like, oh, I can calm my nervous system enough to go to sleep. And in the morning, we always work it out, talk about it, figure it out, right?
Wow.
And so that's what I'm talking about, that mysticism of marriage. We're going to be attracted to the same dynamic that we had growing up. But once we understand that, like, we can give ourselves what we need and then ask for the support we need from our partner, that's when we have that beautiful opportunity to heal those wounds.
Thank you for that reframe. I feel like that was so beautifully put. And that's exactly how you wrote your book too. It's like, here's the thing that everybody says. This is what it shows up like. This is so beautiful. I never thought of it that way.
I feel like it's always oh shit, you attract the unfinished business. Like it's such a negative way, but the way you just explained it's like, no, this is good for you. It was meant, an opportunity. I love that. Okay, my question, what advice do you think every newlyweds should hear? These are the myths that they should not hear. What do you think they should hear?
Happily ever after is so possible and you create it intentionally. So I would say it's worth every bit of financial, energetic effort that you can give your relationship. Like you will bless generations. So you're going to come in to your marriage as a flawed human and you married another flawed human. So don't expect it to be perfect and like without speed bumps and like issues and things like that. Like just listen to yourself, get really curious. So this is my theme for the podcast this year. It's learn how to have compassionate curiosity for your partner's subjective reality. That's a lot of like big words, but really what it means is like when you're in a relationship with somebody, there's not an absolute truth. There's my experience and there's their experience, and both can be true at the same time. And they don't have to match up. So get curious about how your partner's experiencing life. and stay open to how you're experiencing life and allow both of them to be correct, you're gonna be just fine.
That's great advice.
I love it.
Okay, Monica, last question. We asked you our standard question last time, so I'm gonna change it up. So future Monica, instead of going back into the past and giving some advice, let's go to future Monica and thinking of all the people that are going to read this book. What are you hoping happens from future generations, your kids, people you don't even know reading this book? Like, what are your hopes for this book?
My hopes is that they experience all like the magic and wonder and joy and passion and intimacy and love that is available in marriage. Like, it is so fun. I hope that everyone gets at some point to stand at the very top of a mountain with their spouse and look out over all of the experiences, the trials, the challenges, the beautiful vistas, and just like gets to enjoy that beautiful view and how worth how worth the climb was. Like, that's my genuine hope. Or another way of seeing that is they're laying in the hospital bed surrounded by the people that they love most on the earth. And they can say, yep, we lived a beautiful life.
Oh, Monica, that's so beautiful. Woo! You got me.
We're crying.
Well, thank you, Monica, for being here. We're so grateful to know you, and the work that you're doing is changing lives, and relationships are everything. I love that you
guys keep up the great work with health and all of the beautiful things that you're doing.
Thank you. We just appreciate you taking your time to be here with us and to share what you're putting into the world, because it is beautiful, and it's Brooke's at such a pivotal time in her relationship, and so everybody is. Mm-hmm. It's a pivotal time no matter where you're at. So everybody grab bad marriage advice. Stop people in their tracks when they see this title. And Monica, how we finish every episode is your piece of gold, a quote that speaks to you. Would you share yours and send us off?
Ooh, learn how to have compassionate curiosity for your partner's subjective reality.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and your partner's truth and go chase your gold.
We want to thank you and encourage you to celebrate yourself for taking the time to learn and get inspired in your one beautiful life. And if this podcast means something to you, it would mean so much to us if you'd be willing to take 30 seconds to help support our mission to keep bringing you inspiring stories and guests.
First, following the podcast is important because it helps you never miss an episode. To do this, just go to the Ivy Unleashed podcast show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow.
While you're there, if you'd be so kind to give us a 5-star rating and review and share your favorite episode with a friend, we'd be so grateful for your support.
We are thrilled you're here and are so happy that you're taking time to prioritize your wellness, self-discovery, and growth with us. Additionally, we want to remind you that this podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We are not licensed therapists, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals.